We're going to call to order the Finance Committee meeting for November the 7th, the year 2022. Before we get into tonight's business, we have a representative from the Muskogee County Health Department, Ms. Delby Walker. She's going to come at this time and make some presentations.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So we had the honor of hosting, and we created, in line with the $2.75 million CDC grants that we have, we created a Leadership and Health Equity Summit where we had national speakers from all across the nation come in and speak. We had about 250 leaders that attended the 3 sessions. And at the very first session, we asked the community leaders to select leaders that across the community that should be recognized for leading and also for the work in health equity. There was 30 leaders selected, and out of that, we had 4 that were with the city. Mr. Cruz, who is not here, but it was for his work with the Latin Association. This one will go to Dr. Tracy Hughes for his work that he does as a pediatrician, putting his practice right in the heart of the community where the underserved can walk and get services. The next one is to Deputy Mayor Derek Reed for his work that he's done with the citizens of the community. He feeds and makes sure that there's some way to feed the underserved for the different holidays, but also his work that he partnered with our mayor, awesome mayor, to make sure that the underserved receive COVID vaccinations and flu vaccinations. We have the longest clinic, I believe, in the state that started on March 11th, 2021. It is still ongoing. The underserved walk, but also the affluent drive very luxuriously, and they get their vaccinations from all across the county. So we want to recognize them, and I do have some awards for them, and I would like for you to know that these awards your name was given by the leaders of the community, not just handpicked, but they were leaders that found that the work that you do is appreciated, and this award is well deserved. Could I get a photo so that I can send it to the CDC?
Thanks. All right. We'll be honored to take any other awards anyone else has for us before we get started. Item number 1, please. Oh, I'm sorry. We're going to start with the invocation led by Councilor McGee, followed by the flag salute if you're standing at this time.
Let us bow our hearts for a moment of prayer. Thanking our Heavenly Father for this day. Thank you for your grace and your mercy. Lead and guide us tonight as we do the business of our great city. Help us to understand your purpose. I ask all these blessings in your Son, Yahshua. Let us all say amen.
Amen.
Salute. Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 1, please.
Consider approval of Finance Committee minutes of October 17th, 2022, or take other necessary action.
After reviewing the minutes, are there any corrections or additions to our minutes?
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve our minutes. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Perlian Boyati Craig.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hoos.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Jones.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Item number 1 passes. Item number 2, please.
Consider approval of claims for all city departments October 8th, 2022 through October 28th, 2022, or take other necessary action.
We have a report from the Purchasing Committee.
Yes, the Purchasing Committee did meet this afternoon, and we approved all the claims. I move for approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve our claims list. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Pearlie Boyati Craig.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hous.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Jones.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Item number 2 passes. Item number 3, please.
Consider approval of resolution number 2920, authorizing the City of Muskogee to apply for a grant from Oklahoma Water Resources Board, and if awarded, receive funds for American Rescue Plan Act funding or take other necessary action.
Ms. Weezy?
Good evening, Chairman and Council. This is a grant for OWRB ARPA funding. As you all know, we applied for state ARPA funding this March. We were not successful in getting any direct funding from the state through that portal, but they have now sent over some of that funding for water and sewer projects to OWRB. So we have another chance to directly apply for strictly water and sewer money with the ARPA funds through the new portal. So we'll be doing a new application with your approval. We can get up to $2 million, and we plan to apply for a project to assess our raw water line running from the dam to the plant. Staff does recommend approval. There is a matching requirement, and there is foundation funds available to match up to $2 million. Happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Ms. Weezy? We have a motion.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve this agenda item. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Pearlie Boyati Craig.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hous.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Jones.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Item number 3 passes. Item number 4, please.
Consider approval of resolution number 2921, authorizing Laurel Havens to explore and apply for federal grants to purchase radios for city emergency services or take other necessary action.
Mr. Miller?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we do have a need for new emergency radios in the city. As you may recall, we did get a large grant to help our fire department purchase the radios that they needed. But this is, emergency radios are really a combined sort of effort. So police need them, emergency management, 911 center, county, sheriff and fire departments as well. It's all good if they all have roughly the same technology that talks to each other very easily. And so Laurel Havens runs the Muskogee County EMS. He's also the chair of the 911 Center Trust Authority Board. And so he has taken it upon himself to help find some grants that may help all of those entities together. And we do fully support that cooperative effort to try and get radios, especially for our police, but also the other first responders in our community that need them. And so we do recommend approval. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve this agenda item. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Pearlie Boyati Craig.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hous.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Jones.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Item number 4 passes. Item number 5, please.
Consider approval to allow the city manager to negotiate and execute a contract between the City of Muskogee and KKT Architects for a remodel design of the Swim and Fitness Center to accommodate future growth or take other necessary action.
Kevin?
Hi, good evening, Deputy Mayor and members of council. Appreciate your time here. This item here is listing out some agreements with the KKT contracts. This is in reference to one of the CIP projects from 2019. We went out to RFQ and selected our KKT as contract back in January. This project will include items such as replacing pool room doors, lights, flooring, the sprinkler system, relocating the check-in desk, and then removal of walls. And so the primary contract is that first one listed on the cover letter, and then the Exhibit A is actually in reference to getting a mechanical engineering in for the sprinkler system, and then the third item is on there for concepts for future plans. So happy to answer any questions, and staff would recommend approval.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
May I be recognized?
Yes.
Mr. Antis and Mr. Miller, I want to know, does Does this help address our HVAC issue that we have at the Swim and Fitness Center, or is that going to be addressed in a separate item?
So the HVAC system has been addressed back in years previous, 2021, the summer. That was a full replacement of the pool room, ventilation, duct system, and new units. The pool room doors specifically will actually assist in that, creating a better seal of the envelope of the pool room doors and assist that HVAC system to work a little bit more adequately. It is working just fine presently, but those pool room doors will assist in that aspect.
Thank you. Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve this agenda item. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Carlyn Boyati Craig.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hous.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Jones.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Item number 5 passes. Item number 6, please.
Consider approval for the Police Department to accept a grant from the Muskogee Medical Foundation for first responder medical bags for patrol cars in the amount of $30,000 or take other necessary action.
Chief?
Chairman and Council, this is a grant that the Medical Authority is going to do for us that will buy basically like a first aid kit on steroids, I guess. It'll have tourniquets, have blood clotting material, as well as the ability to stop an open wound in the chest, and just something that we've been needing for our units for quite some time. So it'll be something that we definitely can use, and already have approval once we get the approval from the council to do that. So excited about that for our officers.
Yes, sir.
So, Mr. Chairman, I do want to just take a point just for this item, and each of the last 4 items, including this one, are related to grants that our staff is pursuing, finding additional resources to solve problems in the community. I want to thank Chief Teehee. I want to thank Parks, Laurel Havens, and Jennifer. We're all finding additional resources to bring to bear, and this is just interesting that all 4 of these agenda items in a row have to do with us finding additional money that we wouldn't have otherwise, and that is extra work. I want to acknowledge that. You know, we can go about our daily jobs without applying for these grants, and I want to give thanks to the whole staff and Chief Teehee while he's up here for our staff going above and beyond to do that for the city. So,
one thing else also along those lines, just to make sure you all are aware of it. First of all, you all know that officer mental health and wellness is something that's dear to my heart. You all were gracious enough to put that item into our budget last year so that we would have the ability to carry that on at the tail end of a 2-year budget or a 2-year grant that we got from Department of Justice, not knowing if we would get that or not. So in the last couple of weeks, we received information that we will receive $171,000 that not only will be for mental health for the police department, also we added fire this year as well. The neat thing about that is I talked to Chad this morning about it, and Warriors Rest, if you kind of know what that, they deal with traumatic type situations all across the country when there's officer-involved shootings or just tragedies that take place. And we're the most called department because of these guys' excellence in this field in eastern Oklahoma. So this grant allows us as well to help with that. And so we're excited about that money as well. And it's another 2-year grant, so we'll be good there for another 2 years. So be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Move for approval. Second it.
We have a motion and a second to approve this agenda item. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Carlyn Boyati Craig.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hous.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Jones.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Item number 6 passes, and that is our final item for our Finance Committee.
Welcome to tonight's Public Works Committee meeting, November 7th of 2022. Item number 1, please.
Consider approval of Public Works Committee minutes of October 17th, 2022, or take other necessary action.
Everybody's had time to review the minutes. Do we have a motion? Move for approval.
Second it.
Discussion? Roll call.
Carlyn Boyati Craig.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hous.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Jones.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Item number 1 passes. Item number 2, please.
Hold a public hearing and consider approval of ordinance number 4176A to close a 20-foot easement located between lots 5 and 6, Rolling Oaks Estates, for the purpose of lot consolidation or take other necessary action.
I open the public hearing. Ms. Suzanne.
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and Council. This is a basic lot consolidation. We're just requesting approval for the closure of an easement located between lots 5 and 6 in the Rolling Oaks Estate, the replat of Rolling Oaks Estate Phase 1 and 2 to the City of Muskogee, according to the City of Muskogee, Muskogee County, and the State of Oklahoma. Here is the map that's in front of you. This item went to Planning and Zoning Commission today. And there is another map. It was approved unanimously at Planning and Zoning today, and staff is recommending approval of this. Not working. Okay. Did you need me to repeat any of that? Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for Ms. Suzanne or discussion?
Move for approval.
I'll second it.
We need to
I'm sorry.
close.
You have to close the public hearing.
Oh, we need to close the public hearing.
Move for approval.
I'll second it.
Roll call.
Perlin Boyati Craig.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hoos.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Jones.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Item number 2 passes. Item number 3, please.
Hold a public hearing and consider approval of ordinance number 4177A to rezone the property addressed as 3701 South York Street, being more particularly described in the ordinance from R1, single-family residential, to RA, residential agricultural district, and if approved, authorize staff to revise the official zoning map of the city to reflect said change or take other necessary action.
Okay, I open the public hearing. Ms. Suzanne.
Thank you very much. This item may look familiar to some of you. We've heard this before. The last time was on February 28th. At that time, the applicant, Mr. McClellan, as he pursued his application, there was much dialogue, I understand, and he was allowed to withdraw his application at the time. He's basically looking for that basic change between residential 1 to an RA, a residential agricultural district, in order to keep cows and fowl, chickens, on his property. This did go to Planning and Zoning this morning. It was, everyone's familiar with the location, so I can advance forward. Okay, there's another view of the location. Again, in February, as well as today, we recommended approval. I just wanted to update everyone with what happened at the meeting today. So the item was presented to Planning and Zoning Commission this morning after a public hearing, and there were 2 representatives of the community that did come forward to speak against the item. The Planning and Zoning Commission voted unanimously to approve and present a resolution with a map to allow the applicant to use one approximately 2-acre parcel on the northeast side of the property for 4 cows, and one approximately 2-acre parcel on the southwest side of the property for 12 chickens. It was explained that a request to the City Board of Adjustment was necessary to approve these animals, as well as to increase the number of animals on each acre if that was something the applicant wanted to do. Following the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting on November 7th, the applicant, Mr. McClellan, submitted the attached map. Actually, he and I have been in multiple conversations today. He's been here at least twice, 3 times maybe. So this was one of the maps. It's kind of hard to see, but as you can see in the northwest, does this have a pointer on it? Okay. On the northeast side, you can make out the word cows. That is where he's proposing to place the cows. And then on the southwest, underneath the white building, that's where he's proposing to place the chickens. Now, the chickens reside in a cool little thing called a chicken tractor. So they never leave there. They never leave that coop. They move it every day they move it down the road or down the field a little bit, and they set up there. So that's how that works, and I hope I'm doing this justice. Anyhow, I understand he is here, and if there's anybody else that may want to speak to this, if there's any questions that I can answer based on what was discussed today.
Do we have any questions for Ms. Suzanne? Oh, we do have several people to speak on this item. Whenever I call your name, please state your name and your address, and you will have 5 minutes. Ms. Rachel Neighbors.
I think this is very acceptable.
Good evening. I just want to make sure that I'm clear on what I'm up here debating.
Ms. Rachel, please state your name and your
1808
address.
Rachel Neighbors, 1808 East Woodland Circle, Muskogee. So we are discussing just him getting rezoned the 2 acres, not the entire property. Is that correct?
The original application was for a change of use from residential 1 to residential agriculture to an RA. Right.
But the presentation this morning, to answer
Based
her
on what the
question,
Planning and Zoning Commission decided, yes, it's based on those 2 different parcels of 2 acres each. Yes, ma'am.
So it's 2 acres each, totaling 4 acres?
That's correct. One was for the cows on that northeast side, and one was for the fowl on the southwest side.
Okay. We personally, I can't speak for the entire HOA. Obviously, this happened this morning, so we have not had a chance to have an HOA meeting. I personally don't have a problem with the 2 acres. For the cows, I wasn't aware that we were discussing 4 acres, so I haven't had a chance to speak to other people that are here today. I guess my comment would be, it seems that we've tried to compromise. The last time we were here, we were asked to is there any way we could come up with a compromise? We've tried to do that. I thought this morning when we left, we were all on the same page about the 2 acres, the cows and the chickens, and then we leave, and not an hour and a half or 2 hours later, he's wanting more. So that's my concern. It was our concern the last time we met that it seems to change what he wants and what he wants to do every time we go in front of the Public Works, or when we go in front of the council, or when we go in front of the Planning Commission. So I personally would not have an issue with the 2 acres and the 2 cows that he's requesting, and the chickens. But if we are talking rezoning the entire property, I mean, I can go into our whole spiel that we went in February, and we have a petition signed by the neighborhood on why we don't think that's a great idea.
One other option we could present is the ability to sit this week and with the group and Mr. McClelland and see if there is a compromise, if there's something we can all agree on that may be acceptable. I'm willing to do that if that's something that's helpful.
I mean, I'm in agreement with the 2 acres. I don't think that, I mean, this is kind of, the 4 acres kind of just happened. We weren't aware of that, but we came into it this evening thinking that we were all in agreement with the 2 acres. So, I think I'll let the rest of the people speak, and if you guys have any questions, and I don't know where all that property is located. The original compromise that I talked to Mr. McClelland about last week was the property. It's kind of shaped in a U. And on the one side of his property, he has pond and some acreage that's completely away from anything in our development, away from our private road, away from our fence. And so I'd ask if he would be willing to, have the cows there. He had told me no, because he didn't want them in the pond. So I'm not sure exactly, because the area does flood, and we've talked about that. The last time we were up here, we had a slideshow, which I also emailed to the council. The property line, it does flood. I understand that the planning committee said it's not in a flood zone, but I live there, and I assure you that it floods, and that's why we have the back gate so that we can get out the farm. And it floods all the way up on his property. I'm not sure if he hasn't lived there long enough. I think he lived there in May. In May of 22, it rained for 3 days and it was impassable. I mean, we had to use the back gate, and it was all the way halfway up his property on where he's wanting to keep the animals.
I don't know if this is more helpful, this diagram. This is exactly the same one. You can just see it a little bit more. This is what he came back with.
Miss Alex, we try to have the discussion on microphones, so if you could grab your microphone.
I just handed the young lady a copy of the map that was presented to me this afternoon after Planning and Zoning Commission, which we had conversation with legal about as well. As you can see, it's clearly outlining, and we did discuss this morning, that there was a separate parcel for the cows than for the chickens.
Okay, so this area right here that he's
That's a
presenting.
5-acre parcel. We explained to him that that was too large. It needed to be scaled back to a 2-acre parcel. That was the last conversation that we
Okay,
had.
and maybe he can clarify when he gets up here exactly where in this 5 acres, because the pictures that were sent to the council, I mean, it floods all the way up to where this line is that he's, I mean, and past that he's wanting. Which again, when that all drains, that goes back onto our private drive and to our property right there by Cootie Creek. So I'm not sure exactly where in this 5 acres he's saying that he'll put the 2. So I guess I wasn't prepared to.
No, that's okay. That
to
came up
discuss
after.
that. Okay.
That came up after our meeting, so I'm sure he can. Time is right.
But we absolutely are willing to, compromise. You want this back? Yeah, and we did agree even this morning to the 2 acres and 2 cows, and I'm not sure the exact chicken number that we came up with.
It's up to 2 cows per acre. So he had 2 acres planned. That would be 4 cows. His original application was for 3 to 4 cows, right? So that would be within the limits in a RA with the residential agricultural zoning change.
Well, I think if we can come to some type of agreement, it will appease the neighborhood. Again, I can't speak for the entire neighborhood, just myself. Because our concern was rezoning the entire property and it not being able to sustain 26 cows that would be allowed if the entire property was rezoned. The entire 13 acres, or 14, I'm not sure of the exact number.
13.7 acres,
Okay.
yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I have, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Ms. Suzanne, when the planning commission met this morning, did the number change as far as the acreage?
The entire property was put onto the application, the 13.7, but there was some discussion about allowing a certain amount of that land to be zoned. There was some discussion about what happens if we approve an RA, and right now it's 4 cows, right? They're proposing for 4 cows. What if he comes back or someone else purchases the property and says, oh, but the zoning code says you can have up to 2. So there was a lot of conversation about that this morning at Planning and Zoning. But the item that I presented was what was finally agreed upon by the commission.
But what I'm asking is, this morning, when the planning and zoning committee met and voted, did they vote on 2 or 4 acreage?
They voted on 2 separate parcels. They voted for the parcel for the cows, and they voted a parcel for the fowl. One of the points, and the applicant can share, because of the drought, more land may be needed if you're trying to feed cows. And he brought that point forward in the application this morning as well. That's why he was asking for the entire 5 acres versus a smaller piece of parcel.
But the applicant can come back at a later time, should he discover over a period of time that that's an issue.
Yes, and let me remind you as well, I mentioned in a previous slide, the Board of Adjustment will have the final say on the number of cows and chickens or fowl he can have on the property.
And then we can address that process after they get through their work.
I believe so.
No.
Oh, I'm
Board of
sorry.
Adjustment is a quasi-judicial board. They have the final say. Any challenges from the Board of Adjustment go to district court. So they're the final arbiter of the number of cows and chickens.
And the normal assumption is that once it gets through this process, it demonstrates that we don't have the issue that may be perceived, even though the Board of Adjustments is free to do what they think is best at the time. Right, Mr. Tucker?
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay, our next citizens to speak is Adam Gardner.
While Mr. Gardner approaches the microphone, I do want to advise that these rezoning applications are done by ordinance, and so we've got to have a legal description for the particular area that is going to be rezoned. And so before this is finally approved by the city council into an ordinance, this area, which is different from the parcel that was included in the legal description that was included, will need to be supplemented with a new legal description identifying the exact area.
Right.
So that provides a notice, it's filed with the county, all those kind of things.
I understand a survey as well, right?
That is what gets you the legal description,
Gotcha.
correct.
And so, Mr. Tucker, tonight we're basically entertaining the logic and the conversation that will ultimately get us where we need to be, but we won't be voting to approve tonight because we don't have the actual description.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Mr. Gardner, you have 5 minutes. Please state your name and your address.
My name's Adam Garner. I live at 1913 East Woodland Circle, and I would like to ask a couple clarification questions. I think you addressed part of it, is that property will be broken up into separate lots or something, so each one is zoned RA, or will the entire property be zoned RA, and in the future, someone can come out with...
Each of the highlighted parcels will be rezoned, if it's ultimately approved, RA. So the area that is, I think this is the regular, where the top of the map is north. Okay, so the area, for example, you see the structure there, the area north that is outside the line, that will remain R1.
Okay.
Is that your question?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Absolutely. And I think, like say, as long as that is the only area unprotected, then I don't think I have any issue with that. It was for future development, if that becomes, the whole property of 3701 being RA becomes the bigger issue for myself. And I think all of the other, anything else we have would be more for the board of, the adjustment board, basically, for the number then. And with the small amount, I really don't, personally for my family, have any objections then. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Our next citizen is Ms. Tina. I'm going to get your last name wrong, so I'm not even going to try. But please state your name and your address, please, and you have 5 minutes.
Good evening, all ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tina Nguyen, and I live at the house just next to his fence, just right by him. So I always sympathize with him that he needs to support his family. So when 8 months ago, when he came to my house and I say, yes, you can have 2 or 4 cows. I'm not going to report you or making her. But if you try to rezone your whole land, turn to the farm, it will be affect the whole neighborhood. It will turn the whole neighborhood, the value down, and everybody work hard to build a house in there, so they don't want to be ruined by just one people in the whole neighborhood, you know. So, and then after that, he said, how about you don't come to the meeting? Just sign the paper and you agree rezone. So I say, oh, maybe something wrong. So I'm scared. That's why I came up last time and said, please don't rezone. You know, I always support him, have 2 or 4 or some chicken. But if we can find a way for him rezone like 2 acres, like he not affect anybody in neighborhood or my house, because, you know, I work like 40-some years, and the first time I purchased one house, you know, I put all my money in that house, and it just right by his fence, and my bedroom just right by his fence. And if he rezone the area next to my bedroom, it will be a disaster, you know. The whole my life later will be, it's bad because it smells bad, and I cannot even walk out to the yard to have the fresh air. So is there any way we can help him but not affect the neighborhood, and don't let him rezone close to my house? then I'll be good, you know, because I want to have happy neighborhood. I want everybody to help each other. Yeah. And thank you so much. And then my house, can I show you? My house is right here. Because it's a new house, so it's not shown in the Google map, but it's right here. If he rezoned it right here, it will be really disaster.
Where's the drive?
I cannot come back to the backyard because all the chicken and my bedroom right here too.
Ms. Wing, can we have you at the microphone, please? I'm sorry.
And one more thing is if I cannot stand the smell and if I want to sell my house and nobody gonna want to buy the house either, you know, that put me a really very hard situation. Even I think for him, but then he should think for us a little bit too. Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Wim.
Yeah.
Next person is Ms. Tammy Richer. Please state your name and your address, and you have 5 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Tammy Richter, 1901 East Woodland Circle. I agree with my fellow neighbors, you know, what's been agreed upon on the 2 acres, coming to that compromise. My family and personally, we have no objection to that. What we were prepared to come here tonight was to make sure that the entire property wasn't changed to RA, which, like Ms. Neighbor said, we have that petition from the neighborhood that shows the majority of the neighborhood that's against the total property being rezoned. But we are definitely up for a compromise. Thank you.
Thank you. Last one is the applicant, Mr. Kurt McKellen. State your
Kurt
name and your
McClellan,
address.
3701 South York. Great to see you guys. It's been a while, but here we are again. I mean, it's interesting. You know, everybody. There's only a couple of people in the room this morning that when we did this talk, and they said that I'm changing the story again. Okay, and if I can, I want to show you guys what we talked about this morning. And this is exactly what I showed them, that I wanted to put a fence up right there. And I drew it out with my finger on the board several times. I don't know how many acres that is. I never said 2 acres. All I said was I wanted to put that there. And then I got home and started speaking to my son about it, and he said, well, what happens if there's a drought? You know, right now, and the lady from the Planning Commission is sitting right here. Stacy, the lady that was sitting over here in the Planning Commission, said that you need 2 acres per cow today. Not, you know, the city allows 2 cows per acre, but we really need to have 2 acres per cow because of the drought. There's no grass, okay? And we said that we agreed with this, okay, but we didn't understand what we were getting into. We didn't lie like it's being made out. We didn't ask for more. When we went in and showed the planning director this map, this is what we were talking about this morning. I forgot to show you this. This is where the chickens would be, and this is approximately 2 acres right here. And this is approximately probably 3.5 acres, if you do the math, you know, on what an acre is. And so we have an issue in this country and in this right now with the high price of food. My grandson Elijah is autistic, and he can't just eat anything. Okay, we're raising chickens and cows because we have to control what kind of preservatives, what kind of heavy metals and stuff that he intakes, because he can't tolerate that stuff. Where we buy our chickens right now, they're $18 a piece from out of Arkansas, Venture Farms out in Arkansas. I can raise those chickens better for $6 a piece. That's a big deal. You know, price of food's going up, price of everything is going up. And we're just trying to make sure that I can give the best food to my grandson possible. We're not trying to hurt anybody. We're not trying to make any problems for anybody. This is a compromise. That's all this is. I didn't realize, and I spoke to the planning director today when I went back in there, I didn't realize that I was going to be limited to 12 chickens on this part on the back. I really need about 160 chickens a year to feed this feed my family, okay? But we can do that in two separate runs. In other words, we'll run the 80 chickens a piece in those two things, but I realize I got to get that approved through the adjustment board, you know? So that's what I have to say about that. I mean, does anybody have any questions that I can explain anymore?
Do we have any questions for the applicant?
Where is your property line exactly on this map? Like, what is your?
My property line runs up here along this to the north side, up in here. This is the east side on York Street. This is the south side on the closest neighbor here are the cats that live right here. And by the way, that's why we didn't recommend, when I was approached about this, that's why we didn't put the cows on this side, is because then the cats would be upset about it, but having the cows next to their house. So it wasn't any plan to deceive anybody. We're trying to appease everybody here. And it's still not going over very well. But that's my property lines. And this area right here is the most far away area from anybody else. That's why we chose there. And that we have water in the pond, and our water spigot is right here. So it's for convenience, okay? And I appreciate you guys' time, and I appreciate your help on this. If you don't have any other questions.
Thank you.
Okay.
I closed tonight's public hearing. Do we have any discussion, or what's the will of the body?
My question is for Mr. Tucker and Ms. Salix. How long will it take us to get the survey and whatever that we need? Do we even know?
No, we don't.
Okay.
It depends on how backed up they are.
They're backed up.
Are they?
Yes.
Shirley would know better than anyone else.
They're backed
Yeah.
up. It'd probably take 2 to 3 weeks, probably.
So then what you would do is if you approve this by concept, then for council on Monday night, we would discuss it again, and then before you would take any action, you would table it to another time. If you table it, then you wouldn't have to republish it.
So what do we need to do tonight that's most expedient so that we don't have to republish?
You would need, you mean a motion if you wanted to approve? So the concept would be, the action would be to approve the concept as presented by Mr. McClellan, as represented on the map, pending a survey of the property
And
with
that
a
would
legal description.
be a total of the 4 acres.
See, so what's presented on the map is, especially the south section is fine. The north section is larger than 2 acres.
Which would be a deviation from what the planning commission wanted.
Exactly, so
Yeah,
that should be pointed out.
If you don't mind, could you review what the planning commission recommendation was? I think that may be helpful to some degree. And we may confuse us more, but at least we'll have all that information.
Yes, it's been an interesting day. And so what, public hearing was held this morning. The Planning and Zoning Commission voted unanimously to approve and present a resolution with a map. This was legal language. I did call for Katrina, Miss Katrina, at a point to help with this part of it, to allow the applicant to use one parcel of approximately 2 acres on the northeast side of the property for the 4 cows, and one same size, approximately 2-acre parcel on the southwest side for the 12 chickens. And again, 12 being 6 per acre for that magic number of 12. That is what was approved. It was explained that the request to the Board of Adjustment would need to go forward as well, and they also have the ability to increase the number of animals on each acre. So,
Mr. Tucker, restate the conceptual motion, please.
It would be to approve the plan as presented by Mr. McKellen, represented by his map, pending a survey.
So moved.
Can I ask a question?
Why aren't we going with?
So tonight, we're looking at this map that's here. So, you know, here's something that stood out to me in the presentation tonight, the word drought. What happens that we don't know an act of God that may bring a drought in that area? Then what? Then what happens with the zoning? Then what happens with the cows? We say 4 cows today. We said 12 chickens today. Mr. McQuillan said 12 chickens is not near enough. We have a lady back here who's pleading for us not to put these chickens in the smell in her backyard. So once again, deja vu, we're going to sit up here and approve this concept. And we said no to Eagle Crest. We're going to say yes to this with these conditions. And then once again, what's going to happen tomorrow with the flip-flop decisions like we're making like this on this zoning? I believe that, we need to have the rules, follow the rules, and stick to the rules with everybody that comes before us. Drought may come in that area that we're approving today, then what? And as the people stated, if the property is sold and the next people come, we have set zoning in place that could say per acres so many animals that may be able to come to that area. He may say, 4 today, but, the next people may not. We got to realize, we're not just making decisions for right now, we're making decisions for the future, So
and then just like you said, Deputy Mayor, we denied the rezoning that was next to the Eagle Crest addition. So if we approve this, are we going to allow the Beardens to come back and rezone their property for agriculture use out at next to the Eagle Crest? I mean, it's the same situation.
And who's going to watch and patrol and make sure that the number of animals stay, where we're agreeing today? It's been 9 months, and we, pretty much have really forgotten about this situation, and here we are again today. Nobody's really watching what's been going on since the 9 months, within the 9 months. I'm not going to put anybody on the spot. I'm just saying, as a council, we haven't thought about this in 9 months. We were supposed to come back in 30, 60 days at the latest. And here we are 9 months later.
Madam Chair, may I digress?
Yes.
Mr. Tucker can correct me if our memory is failing, but this is not the same as the Beardens, because as far as I remember, the Beardens were trying to rezone the entire area, whereas Mr. McClellan has presented a plan that limits what he can do. Is that?
There was a 200 or 300 foot setback to create a buffer zone, and I don't remember exactly if it was 200 or 300.
I don't remember exactly, but there was
different numbers were discussed.
200.
Was it 200?
But it was a buffer zone and not a defined acreage.
Correct. And it would have been the area between the fence and where the RA or the agriculture would have been allowed.
And unless my understanding is limited, I think that the buffer area as a whole is different than a drawn-out acreage, which is what's being presented tonight. That would be my only opinion about the matter, because it's not exactly apples to apples in terms of what's being presented in terms of defined lines, and it's more than a setback, because we have to now have the survey which will define what those 2 acreages are on one side as compared to what they're on the other side, which is a little different than what was presented during the Eagle Crest conversation.
Madam Chair, may be recognized?
Yes.
So this whole area for the future land use map already has discussion of being agricultural or res ag. The whole 14 acres already has that recommendation, like it's best land used. Because they have mentioned the way the water flows, they have mentioned that you can't just put a bunch of houses right there because of that. That's different from the Eagle Crest also, because that's what they're doing now is they're developing it, putting houses. This conception that he has up here, he has 14 acres, and it looks like not even half the property he's requesting to have rezoned res ag. And that looks like a pretty significant buffer right there. I agree with that, go through with allowing this from his map to come back from the boundaries that we have drawn here, because, I mean, if you see the land and you see the boundaries, I just don't see any reason why, if our future land use map is already recommending it and we're not going to do the whole 14 acres, why we wouldn't allow at least this with the buffer that he has.
Okay, do we have any more discussion? Or what's the will of the body? Do we already have a?
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Of the homeowner. He probably needs to come up. Where the chicken, I've been out there twice actually. I went back out there today.
Did you?
Yes. I mean, I didn't stop, but I went out there. Okay, where the chicken, whatever it's called,
Tractor, yeah.
yes, is that the area you're talking about where you're going to put
Yes, ma'am.
chicken?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
And it's a 10-foot by 12-foot chicken tractor. And when there's birds in it, it's moved every day.
I'm just trying to figure out if where it is now. I'm trying to make sure it's not in her bedroom. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
It's not in her bedroom. It's
where it is now.
Where it is now, it's not even close. It's probably 300 feet away from her house.
Okay.
It's on the side of my shop right now.
Right.
Her bedroom is in, she's directly behind.
Your shop is behind that chicken thing.
Well,
right.
From her, yes, it would
Yes,
be.
yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's right here. I don't mind showing you. It's
right.
That chicken tractor right now is about right here.
Okay, and then her house is...
And her house is here.
Okay.
Back here, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. And, you know, I mean, honestly, this is a compromise that we're discussing right now, and I agreed to something this morning before I understood it all. But last year, we even actually offered a buffer zone all the way along that north boundary, 100-foot buffer zone all the way along the north boundary and all the way down the west boundary, and it was rejected by the subdivision. But to me, that's the best thing for all of it. You know, I mean, it allows me to do what I want to do, and it also allows a good clean buffer zone against them. So I couldn't put those chickens close to her bedroom window. I couldn't put those the cows close to the road. It just, you know, it's tit for tat. You know, nobody's going to agree on everything, you know. But I appreciate it. Anybody got any more questions for me? Okay, thank you.
No, thank you. Okay, what's the will of the body?
We're not going with the...
We already have a motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Okay.
Repeat what Marlon's motion was.
That would be to approve the rezoning from R1 to RA based upon the plan presented by Mr. McKellen, the applicant, represented by the hand-drawn map that was discussed, subject to a survey setting forth a legal description.
So this is not what the planning and zoning recommended.
Correct.
You need to come to the microphone, sir.
Madam Chair, I acknowledge that the public section is over, but there's been a few changes that have happened since I was last up here. May I be recognized to speak, please?
Are we allowed to let him talk or no?
It's up to you. He didn't use all of his 5
Okay.
minutes, so.
Okay. You have the remainder of your time.
The point of order I'd like to bring up is that the motion was as drawn by Mr. McClellan, not restricting to an actual acreage usage, as opposed to the two acre plots, which we have agreed to. I'm not by any means a surveyor or anything like that, so I have no clue whether that's 2 acres, 5 acres, or 8 acres, which significantly adjusts what is allowable by the Board of Adjustment for future land purposes. And so my request would be to either make it as drawn up to the two acre parcels, or to deny based on the drawing, and we can try to come up with a better compromise or amount from there, if that makes sense. Pending any questions on that small detail that I think is significant.
Mr. Tucker, I have no problem with that, depending on what the survey will show, because we don't know if it will be 2 acres, 2.1 acres.
Well, and again, this is committee, so nothing you do is binding.
Nothing is binding
It's only
tonight.
Yeah, it's only to provide your tacit approval in whether you want to see this move forward or not.
The
effectively.
surveyor's going to go. If you tell him 2 acres, he's going to do 2 acres.
Right.
If you tell him to do, you know what I'm saying?
If we tell them to go off what the drawn map is, though, they'll go off of that, and
Yeah, 'cause
that's what
what-
probably
Well,
we'll get.
but I would say that that's not what you would go off of. You'd go off, you tell him there's
2
2
acres.
acres here and 2 acres here.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what, I mean, he'll do whatever you tell him. Like if you tell him it's 2 acres or 3 acres, that's what he'll do.
I'll amend my motion, and then we can have that other discussion at a later
Thank you,
date.
Mr. Gardner.
Mr. Tucker. I'll amend my motion to that effect. If I'm making sense.
I don't know. I don't.
What effect?
Based on what Ms. Hilton Flannery suggested about 2 and 2, I have no problem amending my motion to that effect.
Okay,
And
so-
then if the surveyor says something different later, we can have that conversation then. But I
All right.
think you're
So-
correct that this gets the ball turning to get the process moving.
Right. So the motion would then be to approve the rezoning from R1 to RA based upon the plan presented by the applicant in the hand-drawn map up to 2 parcels of 2 acres each, subject to a survey setting forth a legal description.
Approve, motion as amended.
Madam Chair, may be recognized.
Yes.
I think this kind of hard to say, like, exactly 2 and 2. I mean, if you say, my fence line's here and this, and that's 300 feet this way, 300 feet, that might be 2.5 acres. That might be 3.2 acres. I think that I would like to see with the survey comes with a 2 acre also, but I'd like to also see what it would look like with the map that he has drawn. I don't see there's any reason why we can't get
Both.
both.
All right, Mr. Tucker, fix my motion, please.
I got a question before you fix the motion.
It's going to take me a minute, so go right ahead.
Can you please say what planning approved? Can you say that one more time, 'cause that way I won't get
Yes, ma'am.
lost up in it?
So planning approved 2 things. Planning approved the resolution and the map to allow the applicant to use one approximately 2-acre parcel, so 1 2-acre parcel on the northeast side of the property for the 4 cows, and 1 approximately 2-acre parcel on the southwest side of the property for the 12 chickens. And those 12 chickens is based on the RA requirement. Now, the applicant has explained he's got more than 12 chickens, and he's also explained that he needs more than 2 acres for the cows, right? Drought conditions, things of that nature. But this is what the Planning and Zoning Commission approved today. The map was presented after the meeting.
Oh, okay.
This
So the
map
map
was
is-
not,
Okay.
the visual was there, but the hand-drawn map was presented after the meeting. And we did have, Mr. McClellan and I did have conversation about the size of that parcel on the east side. It's clearly 4 to 5 acres large, while this one seems to be contained within 2. And that's just my visual, right?
Okay. That's where I was going at, because I was trying to, I didn't know if the map was presented at the time that this was approved by the planning committee.
No, ma'am.
So it wasn't, okay.
This is what Mr. McClellan brought to me, and it was just a drawn map. I
Okay.
just scanned it and placed it into the presentation.
Okay.
So, after the meeting.
Thank
May I
you.
be recognized?
Yes.
Based on what the Planning Commission approved today, with the amendment that Mayor Marlin has requested, that's what we're voting on, right?
Yes.
Moving forward
No.
with the survey.
So we're looking at 2 options to make sure I understand what is being discussed. We're looking at 2 options. The as drawn and presented by the applicant, which is the map,
Yes.
based on whatever landmarks the surveyor can deduce. And then secondly, based upon the map, but not to exceed 2 acre per.
Based on what the Planning Commission
Yeah, based
approved.
upon
Yeah,
the,
okay.
what the planning commission
Just
did.
wanted to make sure I
All
was
subject
straight.
to a survey, yeah,
Right.
that's what, I think we're
We're
ready to
We're
discuss.
voting
on what the planning and zoning did today, and we're just saying it's subject to a survey, right?
Dr.
No.
Booz had a point that he'd like to see it both ways.
While the surveyor's out there.
Oh.
I mean, while the
Have 'em do
survey is
both,
already
basically.
out there, he might as well just look at the line that
Have
was
them give us
drawn.
a legal on 2 acres and then give us a legal on.
Right. I just curious though, if this map would have been brought to planning and zoning with these boundaries drawn out, with planning and zoning came in and said, okay, yeah, I see what you're saying there. Because it sounds like that they just kind of had a picture like, we'll go kind of like right here and right here.
So we look at it both ways.
Both ways.
Yeah.
I mean, if planning and zoning did not have this map, and, the whole purpose of Gaddis here is that this home edition group could have an opportunity to sit down and discuss. I mean, why are we rushing it through tonight as a council and both of those steps are not even taken care of. I mean, we got here tonight because we said that we wanted to give this group an opportunity to meet with the gentleman to make, to come up to, as the lady said, let's make everybody a happy neighborhood. What is our rush?
Well,
Why are we in the way
I
tonight?
think they're happy with what the planning and zoning said. They're upset if it's bigger.
I don't think anybody in here understands what we approving.
If I understand Mr. McClellan correctly, is that he agreed to kind of like, we'll do this, and it's not going to be exactly 2 acres when you kind of take these boundaries out this way and boundaries out that way. So that's why I think that just to say, oh, you're 2 acres, but I mean, that would look, it can't even go all the way to this fence to the highway, or can't, I mean, so I think that's kind of when he came and had a map. So I think if there was a hand-drawn map, and then to Mr. Reed's point, I feel like the worst thing we do is keep kicking this down the road, though, too. I think we need to kind of make a decision and get going.
What is the decision that we're making? That's what.
I don't think the public is as confused. I think what we're saying to them is that what we're doing is getting the ball turning to get some type of results so that we can see what we will ultimately vote on. I think tonight we're taking action just to get the process going to see what it looks like. Is that correct, Mr. Tucker?
Maybe. So what I'm gathering is that nobody necessarily wants to make a decision on whether or not they approve it until they have an opportunity to review the options.
That's all I'm saying.
Okay. All right. So if that's the case, what you can do is either direct the applicant to present those 2 options to the city council or back to Public Works, however you want to do it, or even send it back to Planning Commission. Or you can direct the city to do that. That's the part that has not been talked about yet, because generally speaking, it would be the obligation of the applicant to prepare the legal description. But in this case, the Planning Commission has deviated from what the applicant wants, and so then it could be the obligation then of the city to ensure that survey is completed. So that needs to be decided as well.
I think in accordance with what you just said, the onus is on us to be certain that we do our due diligence.
All right. So effectively then the motion would be to direct staff to bring back 2 options for further consideration based on the request for rezoning from R1 to RA, and that is option 1, to bring back a surveyed map based upon the as-drawn presentation by the applicant, and the second option based upon this drawing as well, but for each parcel not to exceed 2 acres per area.
So is that your motion, or is that your?
So the mayor was in the process of making an amendment. So
I'm clear what Mr. Tucker has said if it's the pleasure of the body, because I want us to all have the same mindset going forward so that we can move on.
Yes.
If I may, Mr. Tucker, you mentioned something earlier about tabling it to a certain date. Would we need to do that as well, or?
No, because this is only in committee. Okay. That needs to happen at the official public hearing, which is at City Council on the 14th.
Thank you.
Okay, so is that your amended motion?
As presented by Mr. Tucker.
Which is staff direction to bring back 2 options. And that would also mean that staff is bearing the expense of having the surveys prepared, just so that everybody's clear.
Okay.
Second.
Roll call.
Perlin Boyati Craig.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hoos.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Jones.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
No.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
The item passes. Item number 4, please.
Consider approval of ordinance number 4175A to rezone property located at 2401 East Hancock Street, owners Inks and Inks LLC, being more particularly described in the ordinance from C1 Local Commercial to C2 General Commercial, and if approved, authorize staff to revise the official zoning map of the city to reflect said change or take other necessary action.
Ms. Suzanne.
Thank you very much. And this is a basic rezoning. So Inks and Inks located at 2401 East Hancock. They want to move from a C1 to a C2 to allow outdoor display. Outdoor display is a gift shop. That's the area that is the property, where the property's located. And that's basically it.
Thank you. Any questions?
And Planning and Zoning did, thank you. Planning and Zoning did approve this item as well this morning.
Ms. Sellex, if I'm, Madam Chair,
Yes.
if I'm not mistaken, is this the property, the furniture store?
I think it's an old bank.
It was,
It
yeah, it was
was
a
a-
bank.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, with this.
Across from Casey's.
Next to
Yeah.
So the goal of rezoning is so that they can have furniture outside, because you can't normally do that under the
That's
existing.
correct.
Okay.
Gives them that ability to display outdoors. Yes, yes, sir.
I understand.
Thank you. Any more discussion? Or do we have a motion? Or was
Move for approval.
Second.
Any more discussion? Roll call.
Pearlie Boyati Craig.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hous.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Jones.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
And the item passes. Item number 5, please.
Consider approval of a preliminary and final plat, Heartland Surveying, applicant of one lot, one block of the Brock's Pond addition, or take other necessary action.
Ms. Suzanne?
Yes, one more time. Thank you. It's been a busy day for us. This did also go to Planning and Zoning today. This is a very simple, a final plat of the Brock's Pond addition, so that a single-family home can be built on 9.14 acres. The property is zoned A agriculture and has access to city and private sewer. The development complies with city regulations, and staff recommended it, and it was approved unanimously at Planning and Zoning this morning.
Thank you. Do we have any discussion, or do we have, what's the will of the body?
Move for approval.
I second it.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Pearlie Boyati Craig.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hous.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Jones.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
The item passes. Item number 6, please.
Receive an annual industrial pretreatment program performance summary or take other necessary action.
Mr. Reeves?
Yes, ma'am. If it pleases the committee, Ms. Abigail Wright will present items number 6 and 7.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Annually, I give a report on our pretreatment program. We're required federally to implement a pretreatment program, and this program regulates wastewater that's discharged from industries in the city of Muskogee, and they have certain limits that they have to stay under. We test them for metals and cyanide and oil and grease. They have certain limits they have to stay under, so we make sure that they do that. Let's see. And I'm here to present a review of our pretreatment year, which normally begins November 1st. So it began November 1st last year, and then it went to October 31st of this year. And I have the summary in your packet for you. But a brief summary, we had 11 significant industrial users. I renewed 4 industrial permits. Those are 5-year permits for 5-year durations. And then we had to close 1 permit due to an industry closing in town. There was 4 notices of violations. 3 of them were just for reporting. They reported late, and they fixed that problem. And then we had 1 that had a violation on one of their limits, but they retested and they were in compliance. EPA has specific definitions for if an industry is in compliance or not, and all of our industries were in compliance based on those definitions. So I'm happy to report that, and I will take any other questions.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for her? No? Well, thank you very much. Item number 7, please.
Receive annual Phase 2 stormwater report for permitted MS4s submitted to ODEQ on April 30th, 2022, and take other necessary action.
Welcome
I'm
back.
here again. Thank you. I also oversee our stormwater program, so I try to give a report on that. In your packets included just all of the details of everything that we've done for stormwater in the past year. What it was for 2021, and that's on a calendar year, so it's from January to December. And I have a PowerPoint. I'll try to go through it quick because most of the data is in those packets with you. Let's see if this works. So our stormwater program has helped reduce pollutants to our storm drain system and our waterways within the city. And we have 6 minimum control measures to help do that. They are public education, public participation and involvement, illicit discharge detection and elimination, construction, post-construction, and good housekeeping. And for public education, we set up booths. Last year, everybody was kind of still getting over COVID, so we didn't have very much. We had a stormwater booth at the Home and Garden Show. Let's see. In public participation, every year we have our Azalea cleanup. We like that for the public participation, gets lots of people involved. We have 2 household pollutant collection events where we collect chemicals and paints and things that people keep in their garages. People participate in recycling at the recycle center. We have our 7 free dump days. And we have, in the past, we've had volunteer stream monitoring. We'll talk about that later. So for our household pollutant collection events, we had 417 participants and about 40,000 pounds of waste collected. So I think that's really good. We also had 10,000 pounds of electronics collected during both events, and 893 tires collected. Recycling, the recycle center is open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, or actually it's open through Saturday too. And that's all of everything that we collected last year, and it should be on that packet too. I won't bore you with the details of going through them separately. And then our free dump days. Last year we have 7 dump days and dispose of 921 tons of trash, so that's really good too. We try to have volunteer stream monitoring. In the past, we've partnered with the Oklahoma Youth Volunteers. We're trying to work with them, and Blue Thumb helps with this program. But I don't know if we didn't have any training last year. We're trying to work with them to get more people trained so that they monitor streams for any water quality issues. So it kind of gets the kids involved in interesting stuff like that too. I used to be a Blue Thumb monitor. I liked it. It's fun. Illicit discharge detection and elimination. City personnel is supposed to investigate complaints and visual observations of illicit discharges. That can be anything from mud in the streets from construction, illegal dumping, illegal connections like sewer line connections or grass in the street clippings. So we had 65 of those investigations last year. And it could include also repairing like our sewer lines and things that we need to do for that. And we're supposed to also implement a dry weather field screening program to kind of look for those discharges when it's dry. When it's not raining, we can try to trace them out. Construction, we're supposed to do construction inspections on city and other private projects, and we did 41 of those last year. And then post-construction is a requirement where if they have, like, say, retention basins or detention basins, that they keep them and maintain them, and the property owner is responsible for that after the project's done. ODQ is also putting in a requirement for promoting low-impact development, and that's more kind of keeping things green and trying to, instead of just gray stormwater infrastructure, putting some more green stuff in there, too, with it to help with infiltration, help with water quality and quantity. And then good housekeeping is mainly about kind of keeping, cleaning up after ourselves, keeping the city work areas clean. So we do street sweeping, we do storm drain channel and drainage channel maintenance, and then we have litter crew that picks up trash. And then we also, our stormwater department does inspections of city facilities and tries to let them know what stormwater issues they have and how they can fix them, and we try to help them with that. And but a lot of the other processes for these, the street crew actually does. And then this is my last slide. We have 2 years. OGQ renewed our permit last year, and we have 2 years to implement new best management practices for the permit, and we're in the process of that right now. And I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Wright.
I'll
Do we
take
have
any questions. Sorry.
Thank you and your staffs for all of this work that you do in terms of that area. So thank you very much. I know it's an intensive task at times, and it's things that people don't usually see on the surface. But
And
it's
I don't
making
do
a-
all of it. Like, it's, stormwater is kind of shared between a lot of the different divisions in the city. I mainly just report on it, so.
Right. But we appreciate you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, item number 8, please.
Consider approval of lowest quote provided by Hawkins Incorporated for phosphate in the amount of $30,227.40 for the water treatment plant.
Ms. Reeves?
Yes, ma'am. We yearly bid out the chemicals for the water treatment plant. One of the chemicals we bid out is phosphates. And this year, the winning bidder was Shannon Chemicals, and they failed to provide the chemicals when they were asked to under the contract. So staff went to a second bidder, Hawkins Incorporated, for the phosphates, in the amount of $30,227.40. We did not, however, follow the policy as far as purchasing was concerned when we went to the second bidder. And so therefore, tonight, we're bringing this forward to you for approval under the purchasing policy. And we'd be happy to answer any questions. Mr. Lumpkin is here, the superintendent of the water treatment plant, and he'll be glad to answer any questions as well.
Thank you. Do we have any discussion, or do we have a motion?
I think the only question I have is, what policies do we have in place now to be certain that we're not in this situation again?
We have conducted further training and had individual training with each, the superintendent and his staff at the water treatment plant, so that we feel confident that they will be able to follow the policy in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have a motion, or what's the will of the body?
Move for approval. I'll second it.
Any more discussion? Roll call.
Perlin Boyotti Craig.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hous. Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Jones.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Item number 8 passes. Item number 9, please.
Consider approval of a sole source purchase for 15 actuator replacements for use at the water treatment plant, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Reeves?
The sole source plan purchase form is in your packet, and it is for the 15 actuators. The sole source recommendation is due to the fact that the actuators are actually valves that work with our SCADA system, and these valves can be direct replacements for the ones that are currently there that have gone, that are currently not working. We have 15 of them. They work and control the clarifiers, 3 clarifiers, and they're 12 years old, and so we feel at this time that it would be in the best interest of the city to replace these actuators to help the plant work more efficiently. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Do we have any questions?
Madam Chair, I think this is a matter of record. Am I correct, Mr. Reeves, that the estimated contract is $89,850?
$94,109, sir. Sorry, you are correct, $89,850 under the emergency form, purchase form.
The sole source form.
I just
Sole
wanted,
source, I'm sorry.
yes, it wasn't in the background. I just want to be sure, as a matter of the record for the minutes, that that cost was there.
Apologize.
That's fine. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, do we have any more discussion, or do we have a motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
Okay, roll call.
Perlin Boyotti Craig.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hous. Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Jones.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Item number 9 passes. Item number 10, please.
Consider approval of the purchase of 437 polycarts from Rarig Pacific Company for a total amount of $25,984, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Reeves?
Mr. Avery Rigney is going to handle this one. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Jeff. So this is just us continuing to, oh, sorry. They took my microphone away earlier. This is just us continuing to build our stockpile of polycarts. We have some on hand, but we're always looking to add to that so we can adequately service the public. We anticipate a slight influx of those as we move away from the bag service, but these polycarts get beat up and torn up as they age, and we're just trying to make sure we have enough on hand to service the public. Staff recommends approval.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for Avery? Or do we have a motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
Okay, discussion? Roll call.
Perlin Boyotti Craig.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery. Tracy Hous.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Jones.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Okay, item number 10 passes. Item number 11.
Receive presentation on recent events held at the Depot Green and Hatbox Field or take other necessary action.
Mark Whipperson.
Thank you, Madam Chair and council members. Mr. Miller suggested that we bring to you a presentation about some recent events that have been happening, and so plus I have an announcement to share. So I'll try to run through this real quick. So I'm going to start with the Depot Green, our downtown green space. This past year, we created some new events that happened there. All Aboard Thursday was a once a month event that we did for three months through this past summer. It was well received. It's live entertainment, it's vendors, it's food trucks, and of course it's a train, live entertainment that went into the nighttime in our train. A second event that we did at the Depot Green was our movie night. We had two movies that we showed, two Disney family movies, Encanto and the movie Up. This photo's not very good, it's kind of blurry, but you can see how well attended the movie night was with the turnout. So it's a fun thing, we hope that we'll continue to do that. I should mention that both those programs were also financially sponsored by Visit Muskogee to help underwrite the program. The last event at the Depot Green was Local Motion, which is our fall arts and crafts festival in late September. It's just a couple of photos of the vendors that are in the park. Again, it's food and arts and vendors, and a full day of music on the stage. Again, our train, of course, the kids and the families love the train. It's a $2 train rides through the Depot Green. We had street entertainers, this Local Motion that kind of made the event lively. And great music all day long. And it ended that night with this performance by Nightingale. It was a fantastic show. I want to thank Mayor Coleman for being there and filling in as a MC for the show. It's a long day, and he stepped in and helped us out for the end of the night. So, from a pause before I move on, but I just want to say that. We were thankful for everybody that was involved with those events. You know, the Depot District Committee helped put this together and helped volunteer for the event. Visit Muskogee, I mentioned the financial support, and all the vendors and all the nonprofits that came and were part of this to make it successful. Last Thursday, we attended our state conference of Oklahoma Recreation and Park Society in Broken Arrow, and we received an award from that organization for the Depot Green for an award of excellence and recognition for providing exceptional quality in park and recreation facilities. So we're happy that it was recognized by our peers for excellence in facilities. So thank you. So real quick, moving forward to Hatbox. So we did our balloon festival in late August. Just a few slides. We had 2 nights. The balloons were here for 3 or 4 days, and but the events were the 2 nights. Just a couple of pictures here to kind of give you an idea for the crowd and attendance. We had a huge night on Saturday night. I think the biggest crowd yet. We estimate that it's just over 10,000 people in attendance based on the number of cars that we had through, and of course the pictures are gorgeous out there. So. I mentioned the attendance. I want to talk a little bit about the media that this event brings to Muskogee, besides the again, Visit Muskogee gives us money so that we can put into our marketing. We had a multimedia marketing campaign with Griffin Communications that got us throughout northeastern Oklahoma. We were on all 4 news channels as a featured for the Balloon Festival. So I think it brings a lot of attention to Muskogee. And in addition, and one last thing is that we had some national recognition. There was a representative from the Weather Channel that was there for the 3 days that provided a live feed to the Weather Channel that it was broadcasted nationally for the Weather Channel from Thursday all the way through Tuesday, because they continued to show what was happening in Muskogee following our event. So, and in addition to that, we can show that there was 8,000 views of our Facebook Live videos for the event. So we think that we're getting a lot of value. Want to thank our financial contributors to that. Again, Visit Muskogee was our presenting sponsor. Georgia Pacific, Love Bottling, St. Francis, American Bank of Oklahoma, First Star, Bravado, Armstrong Bank, and Bank First all gave us cash sponsorships to help make this happen. It takes a lot of other partners and volunteers to make this work too. The last event I want to talk about is our Okie Jeep Jam that we just held out there in late October. This is a collaboration with the Muskogee Exchange Club and the Parks and Recreation Department. I want to thank Councilwoman Jones and Hilton Flannery for being a part of the event. They worked tirelessly. It's a 4-day thing. I mean, Stephanie was out there for 4 days. I can account for that. I'm not going to go through the slides, but basically it starts on a Friday night. We do a show and shine. The Jeeps come in from out of town. There might be 70 to 80 Jeeps that come in and they compete for a trophy. And it's a fun night with all these Jeeps inside the hangars, and it's a wide range. There's an expo, there's a trade show. It's basically a consumer product show just for these Jeepers. It's a key attraction for these Jeepers to come to town. You can get an idea what it looks like on the inside of the Jeep in the hangars, and then on the outside as well. These vendors come from all over this part of the country. All of these guys are staying in our hotels as well. And then, of course, the Jeeps come to play. They come to play on our playground out there. They come to get muddy. I go back and show you this photo. I kind of threw this in. It's not a very good one, but you can see the bleachers. You can see the audience, the spectators that come just to watch the Jeeps get muddy and do the obstacle courses. And they play on the teeter-totter, and they go across the rocks. This photo is just to show you the popularity of camping out there. We had, I'll show you some stats, but the campgrounds are beginning to fill up quick. So the 2022 stats for you, there were 551 registered Jeeps that participated. 125 of those registrations camped in our RV camp. 32 camped primitively on site. There were 200 different cities from 15 different states that came to this facility. So the Exchange Club does this as a fundraiser. They're giving money back to local charities. The Parks Department is doing this for the tourism to bring that 15 different states and 200 other cities represented. We survey this, and the survey is not complete, but the last year's survey, and I'm sure I can almost guarantee it's going to be similar. 25% of that 550 registrants stay at our local hotels. I personally went out and Saturday morning and Sunday morning counted 125 Jeeps in 6 different hotel parking lots, and that's pretty close to that 25% of that 550. So proud and glad that's over with, because it's a huge event. So just in closing, I want to say that I'd like to thank the City Council for supporting our events and our programs. And I need to thank my team of Park and Recreation employees that do all the hard work to make these things happen. So at that conference last week, besides the Depot Green Award, they also presented with the Muskogee Parks and Recreation Department with the association's Gold Medal Award for excellence in the field of Park and Recreation Management, and presented this to Brooke and I last Thursday. And so we're very proud of the efforts that everybody makes, and wanted to just come and celebrate. Thank you, Brooke and Rick and the whole team.
That's awesome.
so much, Mark.
Madam-
Y'all do an excellent job there.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, may I add
Yes.
one other thing? I think it's important for us to realize that all those things that Mark went through are new things in the last 4 or 5 years. We didn't have Depot Green. We didn't have the new event, the arena at Hatbox. And so, back to what I said a little bit earlier, we have people that go above and beyond. Parks doesn't have to come up with Balloon Fest. Let me just say that was Mark's idea. Jeep Jam was Mark's idea. Exchange Club does the work, but Mark said, hey, we need help doing this. These things that are happening at Depot Green, it is Parks Department putting them on above and beyond what their day job is already every day. And so I want us to just take that part in as well. This is amazing what this presentation was, and thank you, and very, very well deserved the awards that you've gotten. But just remember, this is on top of everything they were doing 3 or 4 years ago. And I just need to point that out and give them credit for that. Thank you.
Thank you for that report, Mark.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Mr. Miller, one of the things that I'd like to see, I think the council would probably agree before the year is out, what would it take for us, staffing and budget-wise, to look at increasing the capacity of events that Parks and Recreation is able to do? Because I think as we look forward to the spring of 2023, we have such a winning track record as of late in terms of increasing our venues for different audiences. And so I think that while we have such a winning streak with Parks and Recreation, what will it take in terms of staffing and budget for them to be able to increase the capacity of what they're doing? Not just with the same people that they have, but if we needed to add staffing and budget, what would that look like?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. And Mark and I have discussed that, especially in relation to Hatbox, trying to
Mhm.
put something together. So yes, thank you. I'd be happy to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that report. Item number 12, please.
Consider approval of the lowest and best bid from Roscon LLC for the Love Hatbox Concessions Paving, project number 2022023, in the amount of $166,000, or take other necessary action. Mark?
Well, this is the fun part. Need to remind you that we bid this project with the renovation of the building in the concrete for this. This is the South Fourplex at the baseball complex. There's very little pavement down there. The priority was to get the pavement done. The cost of construction, the cost of concrete was so high, we chose just to bid the concrete portion only. Low bids, the bid tabulation is in your packet, and staff recommends that we proceed with low bid. Just an update on that. Besides the concrete work, at that point now we'll know how much money we have left that we can put into the building. So we're already renovating inside the building. We're going to do as much as we possibly can with their money. This was a combination of CIP and foundation grant money, and we should try to get this project done this winter and be ready for springtime.
Thank you. Any questions for Mark?
Move for approval.
Okay. Any more discussion? Roll call.
Perlin Boyotti Craig?
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery?
Yes.
Tracy Hoos? Tracy McGee?
Yes.
Stephanie Jones?
Yes.
Jamie Stout?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed?
Yes.
Mayor Marlon Coleman?
Yes.
The item passes. Item number 13, please.
Consider approval of the appointment of Doug Busey as the Ward 3 Commissioner to the Urban Renewal Authority, replacing Perlin Boyotti Craig, to serve a term commencing upon appointment and expiring August 31, 2025, or take other necessary action.
Ms. Craig?
Yes. Doug serves on boards already here in Muskogee. He is on the Bass Reeves Board, the Three Rivers Museum Board, the Facilities Board, and he's also president of the Kendall Place Edition. And they've just placed a guitar. If you go down 12th Street, you'll see the guitar that they've just placed there, and they're very proud of that. He's very community-minded, very involved, and I recommend approval for him to be on the Urban Renewal Authority Board.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Roll call.
Perlin Boyotti Craig?
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery?
Yes.
Tracy Hoos? Tracy McGee?
Yes.
Stephanie Jones?
Yes.
Jamie Stout?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed?
Yes.
Mayor Marlon Coleman?
Yes.
Item number 13 passes. Item number 14, please.
Discuss and take action to fill a vacancy created by the resignation of Counselor Ivory Van to the Contractors Prequalification Board in accordance with Emergency Ordinance Number 4087A, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Tucker?
Madam Chair, members of the committee, this appointment as the agenda item reflects is due to the resignation of former Councilor Van. The pre-qualification board was set up in early 2020 and serves as a review board for any company who wishes to perform any of our public works or housing rehab projects. They have to be pre-qualified before they can bid on those projects. So the board is comprised of the city manager, 2 members of the council, a representative from Public Works, and a representative from the Planning Department. And so Councilor Jones is our other council member, and so we are in need of one additional appointment of a council member to serve on that committee. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I think that one of the things, at least I try to do when it comes to council appointees, is look for those who are not serving on any city committee. And I don't know if Ms. Hilton Flannery or Ms. Boyati Craig is on any other committees since Ms. Boyati Craig is rotated off. I think we rotated everybody else onto a committee in the last round of appointments. I don't know if either one of them would be interested, but I don't think you're all on either one, on anything right now for the city.
Any volunteers?
I'll volunteer.
Great. Is that your motion?
Yes.
I second it.
Well, it'd be my motion, because
Of your
It's his motion.
Yeah.
I'll second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Perlin Boyati Craig,
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery,
Yes.
Tracy Hous,
Yes.
Tracy McGee,
Yes.
Stephanie Jones,
Yes.
Jamie Stout,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed,
Yes.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Item number 14 passes. Item number 15, please.
Discuss the 2023 meeting schedule for City Council, Public Works, and Finance Committees as per City Code 2-20 and Council Policy 1-2, and provide necessary direction to staff.
Mike Miller.
Yeah, so this is something we do on an annual basis, and this is an opportunity for us to discuss. Tammy Tracy, our wonderful city clerk, has put together an analysis, and we do have, by the end of every year, December 15th, we have to publish our events, our regular meeting schedule for next year. And so this time of year, we put forward every year, do you want to change anything? Do we want to look at anything different for next year? And so we have had suggestions to go to 2 meetings a month, from rather than 4 if you count committee meetings. So instead of 2 committee meetings and 2 council meetings, we would do 1 of each. And so that's been discussed. We've had discussions about potentially moving those meetings to Tuesdays so that we avoid holidays. And if there's long weekends or if there's holiday weekends, we don't end up, missing. If we do have just 2 meetings and one of them falls on a holiday, then you start running into scheduling issues. So there's a lot. Those are all just ideas, and they're open for discussion. We can obviously keep things exactly as they are, which is our committees on 1st and 3rd, and our councils on 2nd and 4th, and 5th Mondays off, and we don't do a meeting the second half of December, and we skip holidays. So that's kind of the current situation. We don't have to change anything at all. But it's really an opportunity for you all to give us direction so that when the time comes, we have the appropriate meeting schedule for you to vote on before the end of the year.
Okay, any discussion?
Deputy Mayor Reed, you can correct me, because I think at this point you and I are the only ones left who remember when we went to the schedule that we have now. One of the things I remember is that Tuesdays usually weren't good for the council, and that we purposely kept them on Monday so that staff could enjoy the holiday if we didn't have to have a session. I think that what's in my packet, Public Works and Finance held the 1st and 3rd Monday. I think the Public Works and Finance Committee should be held on that 1st Monday. On the 3rd Monday should be the council meeting, because the mayor always has the prerogative to do a special call meeting if we need it. That may mean that we may have longer meetings, but I think it's easier on the staff families as well that they don't have to be here when we could take care of things in 2 sessions versus 4. So that's my thoughts. That would be my recommendation.
So going to have meetings on the first and third Mondays of the month rather than every Monday.
With the existing holiday schedule the way it is.
Just meet twice a month.
Instead of 4.
That doesn't mean we'll do that, because if we have things come up, we have to have a special call and we need to do what we need to do. But
I'm open to that.
So this is a discussion item, so we can prepare what that schedule looks like and circulate that for feedback and thought.
so I guess tonight that could be direction of staff
Yes.
versus a.
Correct.
That way we can see the schedule for 2023 and decide if we want to do it or not, to keep everything the way it is.
Yes.
Okay, sounds good. Any more discussion? All right, we have one citizen to speak. Lisa Hickman, please come to the mic, and you please state your name and your address, and you will have 3 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Lisa Hickman. I live at 2229 Baltimore Avenue, Muskogee. Thank you so much for allowing me to show up today. This is one of the longest meetings I've ever seen here at City Hall, I gotta tell you, because I've showed up before in the past, and this is a very long meeting. So, and I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it a lot. I want to speak about 525 South 3rd Street. This is a house that's going to be right next door to Music City Hall of Fame. There are a lot of events that go on next to the Music City Hall of Fame, as well as the Depot Green, as we call it that. I see the events, and the events look wonderful. They look really nice. They bring a joy to Muskogee's area over on the south side downtown. Currently at this time at 525 South 3rd Street, I am working on this house to make sure that it doesn't look as bad as it used to at one point. At one point, this house was abandoned from 2013. They left this house hanging to be destroyed by just the elements in the environment. I'm still currently working on this house, and I'm asking the city of Muskogee to recognize that I've been working on this house solo by myself. I've had a lot of help from a lot of city employees, such as the waste management team. They're incredible. They come by, they pick up all the trash, scoop it up as I'm continuing to clean this house out. At this time, I'd like to ask you to recognize the paper that I passed out to you from the County Assessor's Office. The County Assessor's Office has valued this house well below the market value, even after putting a roof on this house in April of 2021. I don't expect anyone to say anything about the devaluing of this house. I expect someone to step up and ask why the city commissioner assessor's office, the county assessor's office decided to value this house so low after putting a roof on this house. I've also attached pictures to you. Unfortunately, I gave you guys the black and white pictures because I didn't have time to make the color pictures. But if you take a look at these houses here, or this picture, you will see that this house was well taken care of at one point before it was abandoned. And here, when it was first bought, it was well taken care of before it was abandoned as well. Today, I'm asking the city for assistance with 2 items. As I'm going through the process of getting this house back together, I'm asking the city for assistance with the inspection process. I need some help paying for the inspection process. And who else better to ask than my mayor, my city council members for assistance? That is all. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
And with that, this meeting is adjourned.